know Janet for many years. We met at Joy Blue.
Oh my gosh. The first place I ever did an open mic with Yammer.
Yeah, Lisa Hemminger's poetry reading.
Yeah,
now, Lisa was thinking about doing a poetry reading. Yes, and I encouraged her. I was like, you've got to do a poetry reading. She's like, I want to do something different from this. I said, yes, you need to do something different from this slam. So I supported her, and we, you know, like, she took off. She did it. I'm so proud of her. She met the love of her life. They live in San Diego now, and but Janet got Janet started in poetry, and that's where we met. Was at Joy Blue, and here we are all these years later. And Janet's an amazing artist, world renowned. So I'm really honored to be introducing her to a publisher, a poet, performer, so many things. And a dear friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The last time I was here for a feature last year, it was right after Dosby Jackson came around and Roe v. Wade was overturned, and Kathleen had one hanger hanging up. She said, "Here's my contribution to what has just happened." You guys don't feel it so much here as you do in, say, for instance, Texas, where laws are even getting worse. As one of their first 15, they're doing everything they can to make any abortions illegal. So, for the past year, I have written extensively, and a different publisher, not me, published a book of mine, and we called it Testament. Dun, 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 shut up, you guys. It goes in 4 parts. The first part, which is the largest book, the first half of the book, is all post-Roe v. Wade women's rights poetry. I'm explaining a lot. The second half is about life and death issues, the death of poets, and the pain that we go through, that kind of thing. Part 3 is poetry reflected of the first book in the Old Testament, Genesis poetry. And part 4 is 3 poems from the last book in the New Testament. It is 3, Revelations poems. Really short Revelations poems. And somehow a lot of them, sometimes they tie back into the idea of women's rights and gaining your rights and post-Roe v. Wade stuff. So they all kind of somehow tie. And there are a couple poems in between to tie things together. I've got a stack of books, but it's really raining out, so I'd be happy to get them out of the car if anyone is interested in them. But in the meantime, I'm going to read to you a selection of those and try to get it on the screen, so I'll be able to see it for you guys. And yay, the L train! There's a sound I miss. I honestly do. I really do. And because we're all old school, I gotta put on my Flame of Life necklace and everything, and the books, because I'm doing a book reading. So here are some poems from the book. This first one is titled, Unless It's About Suppressing Life. Before the overturning of Roe v. Wade, a number of the United States in America set trigger laws that would instantly restrict a woman's right to an abortion. Trigger laws. That sounds just a little Second Amendment-y, doesn't it? Or would that be Second Amendment-ish? You get the point, the right to bear arms. This is woven into the U.S. Constitution, originally under the premise of protecting ourselves from a government gone wrong, now revered for hunt, sports, protection. These trigger laws are about killing from the stroke of a pen instead of a weapon. Because no, these trigger laws are not about stopping the killing of something yet to live. They're about killing the rights of women, plain and simple. Now these trigger laws are proof that the Second Amendment is alive and well, no matter which side of the political side you claim allegiance. Americans want that Second Amendment so much that they want to be ready to kill at the drop of a hat, then use trigger laws to remove rights from half of their people, too. Don't think these people care for embryos when they don't care for foster kids. Kids already suffering, already alive. That's not the issue. It's not about life at all, unless it's about suppressing life, either from the stroke of a pen through a religious edict, or the pulling of your precious trigger. This next one is titled Just Checking My Religions. After the overturning of Roe v. Wade, I believe over half of these United States had trigger laws that would instantly restrict abortion or make it illegal. These Christian conservatives think that they're helping an unborn child when their own Bible doesn't agree with them, and they only restrict women instead. But Christians, if you're so gung-ho on imposing your religion as law, tell me why a fetus in the U.S. government doesn't get a social security number, or why no priest can bless a stillborn or a miscarriage because it was never considered alive. What does that say about protecting a non-living thing over an adult female? Speaking of religion is law, which I think is something the United States wants to shy away from. What about the Jewish people who don't believe life begins at conception?
Well, they ain't Christian.
Or that a fetus is a full person deserving equal rights of a human being. The Jewish law gives a fetus a full status of a human at birth. And the Talmud even indicates that until 40 days of gestation, a fetus is mere water. Ancient rabbis considered a fetus a part of the mother, and it was fully dependent on the mother, and she had full rights to do whatever she wanted with her body. So if the new conservative Christians can impose these restrictions, they constitutionally break the First Amendment and deny freedom of religion for some. I don't think you conservative Christians are still all holding a grudge on this killing Jesus thing, but trying to make your religion a law is actually illegal and in the Constitution. So, really, at this point, what laws do you hope to break to your unfounded religious tenets or law restricting all womankind? Here as well, we've got some voting stuff. This one is called Vote Changing, the System's a Solution. It has been a year since siblings told me they would never visit the state, which I'm afraid I now claim residence, since they passed the worst anti-abortion laws. I keep stressing this isn't my home. I still vehemently say this isn't my choice, but I still live here, complaining, accomplishing nothing. The saddest part about these laws, the saddest part is that so many women have to fight this uphill battle against a new and intrusive state. That's truly the saddest part. But the saddest part about these laws is that in Texas, at the one-year anniversary of SB 8, limiting abortion rights, well, over half of Texans actually strongly support abortion rights. After the long, arduous year, I see photos of Texas women in my now town marching, depicting signs of the Texas flag stating, "Don't mess with Texas women." Well, that's a noble cause, but we've already been messed with. So, then what? My isolation escalates because surveys and polls don't pass laws or overturn them. Like Queen Elizabeth II, who just passed away. I have never told people how to vote, though that's all that any news articles, reports can talk about now, telling people to change their mind this one time and vote for a Democrat that gives women rights. I won't tell you what to do. I never will, because I cannot tell you that the platform of one political party is worth changing your vote over a single issue. Even if the issue is life and death for women versus life and death for clumps of cells, which can't fathom life as we know it. You'd think it was a simple decision. You'd think it was cut and dry, as it should be. But when the cards are so stacked against women's rights, think again. It makes me wonder if voting for change is literally the only thing we can do. Do the signs and protests matter? Does anyone listen when our complaints and cries seem to fall on deaf ears? When backwards irrationality prevails, how does being the loudest voice on the street make an ounce of difference? If a person protests in the middle of a forest of people, does it make a sound to any lawmakers who choose to close their ears to reason? Or how will they ever listen to the truth? Not really gothy, but well, yes, I am. This one's called "Queuing as Defeatists, but Fighting for Freedom." Okay. Since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, something that's been a part of my whole life, I've been looking for change, checking the news, hoping. So after searching the news, I see that France and Israel have chosen to strengthen their abortion rights for women after the U.S.'s overturning of Roe v. Wade. And I know I love Brie Capri sandwiches sitting in a Paris cafe looking out on the street at the passers-by. But I know how quickly they were conquered by Nazis in World War II. So, after all these years, it's good to see France being so quick to support women's rights. Merci beaucoup. But no, I'm no French girl, and no, I'm no Gal Gadot Israeli overcoming against all, because even though each and every one of us is a Wonder Woman, I still feel like the ever-repressed goth girl shunted from what's right. This goth girl may seem a defeatist at heart, for after confronting evils and oppression, we can only feign optimism for the minions. But when something so cruel is done, us goth girls gotta fight with an unbridled passion and unbridled survival instinct to make sure the world knows that these select southern United States shouldn't have the right to steal liberty and freedom. We must now find any way to fight, somehow, anyhow, whichever way how, to regain our once and human rights. I lost my spot. Well, you know, all right, fine. People are like, what do I read next? I guess I'll go to this one. This one's called Use Any Angle. Biblically, we talk about going to heaven and then working for peace to make heaven on earth. When wanting peace, it starts with not only loving all, but treating everyone as equal. Still, women continue as the religious right takes away women's rights. It makes me wonder, if women are forced to carry a fetus to term to create a new life, would these stodgy old white men care for it, as well as all the orphan and foster kids that no one will claim, care for, or love? Because if these conservative Christians truly believe in these words of their deity, then they should help the poor, feed and clothe the ones with none, house the homeless, instead of your church pocketing billions while not paying taxes and turning your focus to claiming to care for an embryo. But it's not about caring for the unborn. We all know that. It's about restricting women's rights. We've been under your thumb for millennia, and as we prove we can all do your jobs, all for less pay, thank you, as well as juggle your female-defined chores, well, you have to come up with a new angle to take different rights away from us. Because you've had this stranglehold on womankind for so long, you don't want to lose your quote-unquote perceived power. Try any excuse. Use any angle. Do anything you can so that you can still feel like you're in control. But whatever tactics you use will circumvent the error in your ways. It's the only way history moves forward. Some people from the White House would remember that I was an acquaintance workshop facilitator. That's the sound I love, you poor car. I was an acquaintance workshop facilitator for years, so I have a lot of women's issue stuff, and I talk about that as well. So I've got a short one here that actually relates to that somehow. This one, I have to give you some Texas stuff. This one's called Eliminate All Rapists. After Texas's abortion law was made last year, made no excuses for rape, Republican Governor Greg Abbott assured his people by saying, quote, Texas will eliminate all rapists from the streets. I'm sorry, Mr. Abbott, but what a narrow view if you think that all rapists are walking the streets in search for their next random victim. People in clinics in your state will tell you that 8 out of 10 rapists are someone the woman knows. So whether or not you could keep the streets clean, the streets aren't the first place you should look, but to the men that these women once trusted. Eliminating all rapists is a wonderful idea, So saith this acquaintance rape workshop facilitator. But it's really a mystical, magical idea in the end, when the mentality of many men has to change before you law enforcement types can begin to climb this already uphill battle, eons in the making. For critics say Greg Abbott's statements seem to be detached from reality when sexual assault hotlines in Houston are going just as strong post-Roe v. post-Texas rights removing and debilitating women law passing versus before Abbott passed this to hurt women. So you can't will something terrible like this away with a single press release or a public statement, especially when the only thing Texas has done to stop rape is to try to remove the backlog of rape test kits. Thanks for being on Women's Side once again, Governor. We should know that if you take away our rights in one place, your behavior won't change to help us ever, anywhere. It's raining. Hi to newbies. Hi, newbies. Hi.
I don't think I've seen you at a beach cruise.
No, this is my first one. I'm Lou.
Hi, Lou. And
Hi, Lou.
because you
Hi,
were
Joey,
here at
that's
the
what you
beginning.
did.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, you're welcome. I love the poetry energy of it's raining, but we're all gonna.
We're gonna make it happen. Well, I was Chicagoan.
That's the worst part.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be open.
And I've been in Chicago for
it's
I'm back in town for only this weekend, so I'm doing this feature now, and we've got to get together. And I'm
that's
reading
right,
select
Beach
poems
Poets were
from part 1 of this book Testament, and they're all
I'm
post-Roe v.
also-
Wade things. Just give you the heads up.